Welcome back, everybody. So we do have a special guest here, Evonne Collins. She has also been through the same thing that I have been through, and her daughter as well.
My name is Evonne Collins, and um, I myself have been through um, being touched by a family friend, and now my daughter is also going through the same thing.
Mhm.
So, a little bit about my backstory. Um, I was 12 years old when it happened, and me being a child, I didn't quite understand exactly what happened, but I know that it was wrong. And my mom was like, I just had this bad feeling that I shouldn't go to this party, which was the friend's party. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. It was me and my other sister. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. It was just a bad feeling that day. But I went anyway. And the party ran a little long. So her mother called my mother and let her know that they'll be running a little late, but they're good. We were good at the time. And I was like, no, I'm ready to go home. So she was like, okay, let me find somebody to take y'all home. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, why her mom not taking us home? Like we're we're her guests. But long story short, my friend's boyfriend at the time, I don't even know why her mom even let her have a boyfriend at that age, but at the time, he drove. His friend was in the back with us, and we had periodically met him before, but it's hi bye, that's it. And he got in the car, but when he got in the car, he sat between the both of us. Sean was on one side, I was on the other. And at first it was cool. He was just sitting there. But then he got touchy feely.
So did he get touchy feely with you, or but why didn't he touch?
Because Sean scooted all the way over to the door.
Mhm.
And I was like, it wasn't a big back seat, it wasn't a big car. But Sean scooted all the way to the door because she was like, I think she
She
said
was scared.
something
Yeah.
that wasn't right. And he scooted closer to me. So I had no room to go anywhere but fall out the car door. But. So when he got close to me, he began to touch stuff that he wasn't supposed to be touching. And I didn't say nothing, and I just sat there in silence. Like, I can't believe this is happening. Why would he be doing this? And I know this wrong. And after everything had happened, by the time we got to my house, I just remember Sean getting out on the other side. But when I got out the car, I opened the car door and ran upstairs really, really quick. And my mama was wondering why I was crying. And she was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she thought I was hurt. But then I explained to her that this guy was touching on me and all that. So mama was like, a parent gonna go lose their mind. My mama said, okay, I got a trick for that. And she was like, okay, hold up, let me go find out what was going on. But before I even could say any other word, my mama was out the door, down the stairs. I don't even know how she got down there that quick. But by the time he already knew what the deal was because he had told his friend, because the girl that came with us was upstairs, and she didn't know what was going on either because she had no idea until what I said, told my mom, and they took off in the car. So we didn't have no name, no person, couldn't call the police, couldn't do any of that. So my mom was basically like, okay, we talked about it that day, that night. And then the next day we went to church. She was like, pray about it, give it to God. But in my head, I'm like, I can't believe what just happened. And I couldn't process it. So it took me a long time to be like, it wasn't I was okay with it. It was that I buried it. I buried it.
That's the same
and
thing with me.
forgot about it.
That's the same thing with me. I buried it because I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to talk about it. And then knowing that this person I have grew up around, knowing that this person that has literally probably was like one of my favorite family members at the time would do something like that. And like I said before, like I told my mom when I was 26 because of the situation that happened with my little cousin, which is her daughter, that I wanted to just let her know that, you know, you can overcome that situation. And also with that, it was like, yes, go to church and pray. Don't get me wrong, everyone. You is supposed to pray to God. Yes, you are supposed
Yeah.
to pray. But also, it's like, my grandma didn't even realize that she should have got you counseling.
I think in mama head because
How she was
something
raised.
similar happened to her back in the day that she told us about when we got older, like in our teens, and it happened to her. So she dealt with it the way she dealt with it.
And so
So that's
yeah.
the same thing she told me. She didn't know any difference, but now I know the difference,
And so
and
now,
I didn't
yeah.
come to a difference with it because I hadn't dealt with it either. I just came to the difference with it because it happened to my child and the things that I need to do and the stuff that I need to do to take care of her. So it reopened the wound for me that I never dealt with it. But I that's why I'm trying to do a different pattern when it comes to my baby
Mm-hmm.
and get her counseling and get her to talk about it because she doesn't talk about it like
She
outright
doesn't.
talk about it.
She doesn't. She is extremely scared to talk about it.
Yeah,
And so, how does that make you feel, knowing that your daughter has went through something that you have went through? How does that make you feel? How do you feel about that?
it makes me feel like it's a messed up world. It really is because for you to do something like that to a child that's innocent and who doesn't know any better or know of anybody in that way, and to take their innocence, it's just something that I can't fathom why. And I
Mm-hmm.
still ask that question, why would you do that? Why? And that's the big thing. That's the big question.
Why
Why?
exactly?
And
Why?
you will never know. Some people get closure in people saying that it happened to them back in the day, or somebody touched them, or a family member, whatever. The big question is why.
Started back when slavery. Back in slavery time, people were these people was touching these kids, and it was overlooked. So it started back then, but it's just the fact of the matter that they look at our black girls and they think that they behave older than what they're supposed to do. So statistically, black girls as young as 5 are more likely to be viewed as behaving or seeming older than they are, which is crazy. You go to these situations where these men, and then what kills me the most, what literally kills me the most, is that they will sit here and to lie to you and make it seem like, oh, it was wrong. It's not wrong. You ain't supposed to tell anybody. And then that's why these kids is scared. They are scared to say anything. And it's like, even with grandma's situation, she didn't know that she was doing that, but she knew that she was raised that way to just give it to God, which is true. You are supposed to, but I love the fact that you are getting her the proper help that she needs.
Yes, because I don't think me being in a position, because I'm a triplet, and she had to deal with two other girls, and I also have a 10-year-old daughter who knows what happened to her little sister, so that falls on it too. So I see when Mama raised us and how she said, "Go to God, go pray about it," because she had two other kids to look after too. So she had to deal with me, and then she had to deal with them too. And that's the situation I'm having when it comes to my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter. It's the point where one child I think you cuddling the other one, and then she feels left out, and then you have to deal with both of them at the same time. So it's very difficult. That's why I say seek help. I seen myself, I couldn't help her because I didn't get help myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I seeked help for her so I have a platform to know what to go by and how to say things and how to do things when it comes to both of them. Because if I didn't, I'll be lost because I didn't get help myself.
Exactly. And I wish I would have told my mom earlier, but then again, like I said, if you watching the prior video that I have before this one, I my situation was totally different. The person left when I was the younger, but it's just the fact of the matter, like, what if that person would have stayed? What if that person was still here? And with the situation with your daughter, that person was in the house. So it's like, and she trusted into this person, and for her to tell us that she was scared to tell us, it's like, wow, wow. And then you have the people around the other person who did it and committed the crime saying that they're trying to go so gun ho for the fact that he didn't do it, so called, allegedly didn't do it, but they people really don't know the truth. And it is so many situations like this. It is kids who will go to their parents, people. It is kids who will go to their parents and they will literally say, oh, well, that never happened to you. Or you ain't supposed to tell nobody. No, get them the help that they need. Get them the proper help because these kids are going to grow up and then they going to look at you and be like, well, my parent didn't protect me. Mm-hmm. That is your job to protect these kids. That is your job to protect your child.
I don't care how nobody put it, shape, form, or fashion. If that's your child, that is your responsibility. Now, I have had to come to the conclusion of it wasn't my fault because I thought it was my fault because I should have seen it. And I know a lot of parents go through that guilt. You should have seen it. I should have knew it because that's what the questions that was in my head. I should have knew it. I should have seen it. I should have known how my child was moving different. Mm-hmm. But I didn't.
Like, girl, at the end of the day, you say you try to blame yourself, but it is not your fault. Because that person who did it, or that person whoever did it to you, or to your child, or to a child that has been going through this world, mm-hmm. if he did, that person did it, that means that that person is adult enough to know what they are doing. All these women and men in the world, but they will touch a child. And don't get me wrong to say that it's not okay. Just women. It's not just little girls who are being touched. It's boys who are being touched. Yes. And if they are not being touched, they are physically being abused at home. And people overlook it. And it's like, what is the system doing really? Because these kids will go to they will be in adopted, the kids get raped in adopted homes. Homes where these kids do not have parents. And they will get raped and they will sweep it under the rug. They will sweep it under the rug, people. I have a cousin. We have a cousin who was touched in a mental facility. A black woman. Do you know what these people did? They tried to cover it. Mm-hmm. They tried to overlook the situation. Thank God that we were smarter than what they thought we was. Because don't get me wrong, they always think black women are stupid and we're not smart and we don't know what we're supposed to do. Thank God that we had the proper precautions. But it's the point of it. First of all, she's a mental health patient. Obviously, they already have chemical imbalance. So why would you even sit there and touch her? And on top of that, they tried to make it seem like she was lying, of course, because she's mental.
But my thing is that touching anybody, I don't care, you boy, girl, male, dog, cat, I don't care. You keep your hands to yourself.
To yourself.
And if you feel like you're going through some chemical imbalance and you looking at somebody the wrong way, you better go get help. You need to seek help.
Go get help.
You really do. You need help. But in the case of my child, it wasn't no leeway of she's a grown woman and this person touched her and she was grown. She was a child. Make that make sense to me. Make it make sense that I knew you since you were a baby yourself.
Explain, how is she dealing with the situation?
She's dealing with it on okay. If you know my child, you'll know that the difference in what from the time that she told it to now. And she has anger issues now. Anything triggers her just like that. She has a problem with loving herself. And she explains this herself. This is how articulate my child is. And she will tell you, I don't know how to love myself, Mom. Or I feel down today. I just don't feel like dealing with anything today. I feel overwhelmed is the words that she always uses. I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I'm overwhelmed with feelings. And I can only do so much because she talks to me only so much. Mm-hmm. Even though I have an open door policy with both my kids. But can talk to me about anything.
I feel like more so with her, it's because it's mommy.
Yeah, I think it's because it's mommy.
And she already is like, well, mommy, I just want to make sure you're okay.
She's trying to make sure I'm okay. Yeah. And that's her thing. Every day she makes sure I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm supposed to be making sure she's okay. That's why I seeked help, some outside sources other than me trying to deal with it on my own because I can't. I realize that when she's in school, because I work at her school, and she has these little breakdowns, I call, because she cries and I have to calm her down. And if I didn't seek help, I don't think I will be able to be here today to say I'm okay. You understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm not okay, that makes her not okay. Because she can't see me fail. She cannot. I refuse to let her see me fail. So therefore, we're going to seek proper guidance, proper direction into dealing with her. And because she's young, she's a baby, she's young. So there's still time to mold her in the right direction.
And so since she has gotten this help, like you feel like do you feel like it's helping her?
It's most definitely is. Most definitely.
I see it too.
And I see it.
Mm-hmm. I see it too. I feel like she is opening up more.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of times when kids go through that, they start to look at every man around them.
That's the thing. That's the thing. We're still dealing with that. Yeah. She still looks at like And
it's just a child's gonna have their guard up. A child's gonna
She's always gonna have their guard up. But I'm okay with that. I am so okay with her having a guard up. But learn how to use it in a good way.
Exactly. So this was nice. I really appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you telling your story. And I appreciate if you in the world and you need to get the proper help, if this is happening to you, go get help. I tell you, therapy is going to help you. Yes. Seek therapy is going to help you. If your child is going through this, listen to them as one for one. Don't sweep it under the rug. Go get the proper help that they need so they could grow up and be our next generation. They're our next generation.
She can have a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And as a parent, seek help. We can be superwoman all we want to.
Exactly.
You could save her from the world. But dealing with stuff mentally and physically and emotionally is a whole nother level. Yeah. A whole nother level. And I learned that. I loved on her and I hugged her and I kissed her and I tell her I love her every day. But it's still that little box in the back of her head that you can't get to. Somebody else can do.
So this was nice. Thank you so much. And if you know anyone who has been through this and you want to tell your story and you want to come on my podcast and tell your truth and help other people, because I'm sure this story is going to help a lot of other parents, young black mothers or people who have been through it before. It's going to help them. So if you have been through this, please, 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 please email me. It is in my bio, or message me on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram is Nobody's Off Limits, and my Facebook is also Nobody's Off Limits. So if you want to come on my podcast, just let me know, you guys. Bye.
Bye.
AJ, why you do it like that? Yeah. I'm a heartbreaker, but I got you next to me. All them lonely nights, girl, I need your therapy. You got your guard up and you threw away the key. But I knocked your guard down, cause my love in jeopardy. I'm a heartbreaker, but I got you next to me. All them lonely nights.